Hi everyone, we're gonna start in a few moments. So just give us 2 minutes while everyone enters the webinar and then we can start. Okay, I think we can start. Hello everyone, my name is Marco Lambert and I serve as the core team captain for New Student Orientation. The name of this webinar is Ask Us Anything. And the purpose of this program is to provide you all with insight about getting connected to different opportunities here at Hopkins and answer any questions you may have coming into your first year here. In just a moment, I'll turn it over to presenters, but please feel free to begin submitting any questions that you have in our Q&A section. If we are unable to answer your questions in our time together today, please contact firstyear@jhu.edu and we'll be sure to assist you. At this time, I'll pass it over to our presenters to introduce themselves and their respective roles. So, Jonathan, would you like to start?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay. Thanks, Marco. So, hi, I'm Jonathan. I'm a resident advisor. This year I'll be working in McCoy Hall. So, if anyone got assigned there, I'll see you around. And I'm class of 2026, which means I'm going to my senior year, and my major currently is biomedical engineering.
Hi everyone, my name is Morel Megan. I'm a rising senior. I will be in Woman Hall this year. This will be my second time being an RA. I major in molecular and cellular biology and French on the pre-med track. Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Mraganka. I am also class of 26. I'm about to be an RA for the third time this coming year in Woman
Marco,
Hall.
excuse me. We can see your screen, Marco, if you can put the slides back up.
Yeah. I'm about to be an RA in Woman this year, and my majors are molecular and cellular biology and medicine science and the humanities, and I'm a writing seminars minor.
Hi everyone, my name is Danai. I'm a first year mentor. I am also going to be a rising senior and I major in molecular and cellular biology as well as neuroscience.
Hi everyone, I'm Zainab. I'm also rising senior and I'm majoring in international studies with a focus area in immigration, and I'm currently a transfer first year mentor.
Where did the slides go? Here we are. Okay, so we're gonna start with our Q&A section. If you'll please submit your questions in the chat, and then we can go ahead and start answering them. So I'll give everyone like a minute or two to like start writing their questions. Okay, one of the first questions we have is. Oh, someone erased it. Okay. Anyways, okay. I know studying in high school is probably really different from studying in college. Are there any study skill type sessions and or any recommended time management tools for incoming freshmen? Would anyone like to chime in
I can
on?
answer that, I think. I feel like everyone has kind of a different style of studying, and not everything works for everyone. So I guess you just have to like try and see what works for you, especially when you're like starting off. Maybe use your first semester or so to figure out what style works best for you. Because I know some of my friends prefer studying in groups and some of them like to lock in alone. And it's also class specific and context specific. So I feel like I've been in some classes in one of my majors, for example, that is tends to do better and like collaboratively. I tend to study better collaboratively, but with other classes that maybe I'm writing more papers for, doing more readings for, it's better to do it alone. So I think another thing is for especially in like STEM, a lot of the classes, you have to kind of constantly adapt your learning style based on what the topic is that you're discussing. I've been in some biology classes where with every like passing month or so, when we change our focus, I have to kind of change how I'm synthesizing the material to best fit what the concept is that we're learning. So I think just being open to experimenting and adapting based on what's working in that specific context, but not being afraid to like don't like commit quickly to one style if it's not working for you. Just be open to trying.
Thank you for that. Does anyone else have any other tips they like to add to time management and study habits?
I wanted to add to that. I think if you know that you enjoy group studying, I think another great way to get involved with that is to join or register for a pilot class, which is kind of like a supplemental class that goes with a certain course that you're taking, whether it be microeconomics or maybe statistics. And if you know that you thrive in a group environment and you want to learn specifically from a leader who knows a lot about the topic, then I think that's a good avenue for you to take. I think it's optional, but I think it's a very good opportunity to like really go in depth with the material outside of class. And you also are with a cohort of other students who are like-minded, so you can definitely help each other out as well.
Yeah, and thank you for adding that. Another question more for our RAs is what events are typically hosted by the RAs? If you guys would like to give some examples of events you're gonna host or have hosted.
I can start. There's like a bunch of events that RAs host. We try to cater to our residents as best as possible. For example, there's a lot of food programs. I know that in Woolman we had a lot of ramen nights, boba nights, baking nights. There's also a lot of arts and craft like vision boards, any like little goodie bags that you can make. And there's also like fun ones like movie night. Some RAs do Take Two, where they take their residents outside the Hopkins campus and maybe to the farmers market or the BMA, something to get residents more comfortable in Baltimore. I don't know if anybody else wants to add.
Yeah, the events that we can host are very varied, I'll say. Um, Obviously, the list that Megan brought up, but also a lot of the RAs, me in particular, we like to take in feedback from our residents going into each month so that we have an idea of what you would like to see. So even if your RA doesn't send that form, they're obviously going to be very receptive to your feedback. So if you see them in the hallway, you can chat them up and be like, hey, I'd love it if we could do something like this, and they'll try to make it happen.
And one of the students asked the question about when would they get a list of supplies they can use to have like to move in. So I'm gonna send that PDF in the chat, and then anyone that's interested in like a list of recommended supplies you need for moving, you can have a look at that. So I'll send that in the chat now for everyone. Hopefully everyone can see it. Okay. Next question. This is an interesting one. I think it's very personal opinion, but I'll let you guys answer this. Do you recommend digital tablets for note taking? If so, what kind? or if any at all?
So, if I can talk about this a little bit. So I started off my freshman year just using normal notebooks, and it worked fine for me. But I did end up succumbing and getting an iPad my sophomore year. I felt like it just kind of helped me kind of keep everything in one place. And I don't know, there's a lot of applications where you can just download your textbooks onto your iPad or onto whatever type of tablet that you're using. And review stuff off of there versus having to carry around a bunch of things. So for me personally, it was helpful, but I think you can be successful using a regular just pen and paper. Um, like honestly, it's just personal preference. I know a lot of people memorize things better using pen and paper. So really, I think it's a very personal thing. But yeah, there's a lot of pros and cons to both, I would say.
I agree with
Yeah.
everything that Denai said, but if I can add one more thing, I had the same trajectory as you. I got an iPad my sophomore year when I started organic chemistry because I thought that I would need one, and it did help out a lot. But if I like, sometimes people forget that like with tech items, costs can be a big concern. And if I remember correctly, Hopkins does have like tech grants that they give out to students who need them. So if you feel like you need a device like a tablet, but you feel like you don't have the resources to get one, then definitely do look into that. Maybe we can share a link or something. You will most likely get the support that you need, especially when it comes to like tech, if you need something.
Yeah, to apply for the tech grant, you would go to your SIS page, and there's a section that says online forms. There, you would fill out the request for the tech grant, and you apply a receipt of the item you're trying to buy, and that should cover any type of computer and any other electronic device that helps you for schoolwork. And one app that I personally recommend you, if you have an iPad for school, would be GoodNotes. That's, I think, what most Hopkins students use. The other one's Notability. I know a lot of people use that as well. I'm personally a GoodNotes person, but it depends on the person. But those are the two biggest apps for note taking and like just storing all your like notes and your work. And like it's a lot easier to submit assignments doing it directly on your iPad because you can write or you can draw or you can just type. So that's probably the best two apps to have. So our next question, and I can answer this one. This is applies to everyone. If we want to ship stuff to Hopkins for move-in day, what address should we put down, and do I have to specify my name / dorm, etc., and where would pick it up? I think. So, when you guys find out your residence hall, you'll have to sign into Birdhouse. That's where your housing portal is, and then there, the general rule is that you can order items to arrive 1 week prior to your scheduled move-in date. And you would go to the Birdhouse app and then look under My Housing. And then in the top left drop down, you find the specific mailing address and the mailbox number for your residence hall. So we have 3 mail rooms located in AMR 2 and Woman Hall for first years, and then Scott Bates Commons for second years. So obviously that doesn't apply to you guys. So if you are in any of the AMRs, it would be the AMR 2 mailroom. And if you're in Woman or McCoy, it would be the Woman mailroom. Okay. Next question. Oh, this is a good one. What is the experience double majoring at Hopkins, and are there any tips to stay organized in keeping track of the major requirements across both majors? So anyone that's of our panelists is double majoring can add to that.
Yeah, so I'm double majoring in molecular and cellular biology and French. So one is part of Bachelor's of Science and the other one's Bachelor of Arts. So like two completely different fields. And for me, I will say that it's a little bit easier because one, that I am kind of proficient in French already. So it's more so like making my French advanced. And because they're two completely different subjects, I feel like I'm not struggling as much because with the French major, there's only 24 credits that I need to complete the major, whereas with molecular and cellular biology, there's like around like 72-ish. So like it varies between like which two double majors you're doing. I know some people who are molecular and cellular biology and neuroscience, but there's some overlaps between the two because like their electives can count for one or the other. So it really just depends. If you want a double major, how do you see yourself using the both, if that makes sense?
I can add to that. So Megan is a champion of doing two very, very different things. I don't know if I could manage that because my majors, as a double major, my majors have a lot of overlap. A lot of majors at Hopkins, do have significant overlaps. It's kind of a school where it's pretty common for people to do multiple different things at once, obviously within reason and in a way that your well-being is still intact. But for example, MSH, Medicine, Science, and the Humanities, it's a pretty popular major. It has components of STEM classes that you can pick, humanities classes that you can pick, and then some like general social science electives. So a lot of my requirements kind of got covered between my other major and my minor. So it's a matter of being a little bit clever about it and seeing like the optimal way to do it if you really want to do many things. Also, like an academic advisor will be able to help you with that. Every first year student has like a general academic advisor, and once as you go forward, like by your second year, when you've locked in your majors, obviously you can change these at some point, but when you've kind of declared your majors, then you get more specific advisors as well. So you end up having a pretty large advising team. I know different students rely on their academic advisors to different degrees. So you kind of, again, have to do it in a way that works for you. So there are resources for academics, majors, and other stuff. You have to find the combination of those resources that you can utilize to serve what you need.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for adding to that. So one of the next questions is, what are some really good resources on campus that many students don't know about? I think we can all add a little bit to this.
I hate to keep talking. I have one off the top of my head, the food pantry.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know about it till I became an RA. Actually, a lot of resources I didn't know about till I became an RA, but the food pantry in particular is one that doesn't get talked about a lot, and I think they do really good work. If someone wants to expand on that, I don't want to keep talking.
I think there's also a lot of academic resources that help. There's so many like tutoring and office hours and you have Learning Den, you have Pilot, you have even OCI, which is the Organic Chemistry Initiative. There's so many like academic resources, like the Writing Center that helps you with all your like writing assignments, and like they'll peer review your writing. There's a lot of resources on campus that help you academically, and it's not just in your pre-med classes, but in general. And like some of them even help you, like the Imagine Center helps you like organize and find like work and like find that job experience and help with your resumes. That's a really good one, the Imagine Center. And in the fall, when orientation starts, we'll be providing brochures, and on the back of them, there'll be a list of most of the campus resources you'll need or will want to have access to throughout your time here, and you'll have the office and the contact information for that specific organization. But if anyone else wants to add any specific ones that have really helped them the last couple years. Okay, here's a different question. Would you recommend any specific spots on campus or facilities that are helpful for studying or being productive in general? So what are our favorite study spots?
For me, before MSc B level was taken away from us, it was B level for sure. Maybe C level, but I really need to lock in. But besides that, I like to go to empty classrooms and like just take it up for myself to use the whiteboard, especially if I'm writing like diagrams or if I'm writing any notes out. I also like to go to the engineering side of campus because they have really, really nice like halls and like rooms. They're a little bit spoiled, but I really like Malone and I also like Clark. They're like two great study spots.
I will say also because any freshmen who have toured campus or are going to see it, there a lot of campus is under construction right now. The library, I think our year, we're all like class of 26. So I think we probably spent 70% of our freshman year in the library. Um, I only came home to sleep. But it was a place, the library was a place where we socialized, where we made our friends, where we studied for our classes. And it's definitely a loss that the library is under development. There is a part of the library, the nice part, I would argue, that's still accessible. Brody Cafe is excellent. It's like a cafe on the top level of the library. I love it. I spend a lot of time there. But I would encourage also especially in a moment where so much of campus is kind of like shut down, it's like semi-shut down, to kind of get off campus if you can. This is easier when you're not a freshman, when life is like you have had time to explore a little, but there's a lot of really nice spots around campus. Um, that I spend more time studying off campus than on campus, especially after my freshman year. So just being open-minded and exploring the surrounding areas. There's a lot of fun spots.
Yeah, I agree. For me, I really like to not be moving about throughout my day and like moving to different spots. I like to just sit down in one place. So usually like if I have overlap between classes in the same building or like want to study before class or after class and just don't want to move buildings, I'll study there. So a lot of you study in Mud Hall. There's Mud Cafe. It has a lot of seating where you can just sit and have a coffee and study. Um, there's also Houghton Hall, has a lot of desks now where you can study as well. So there's where most of the buildings you'll take classes in will have study areas now, which is more convenient for you. So you don't have to walk across campus just to find a study spot. Like you can just stay in the same building for a few hours. That's personally my preference because it makes my life easier instead of having to walk across campus to study and then go back to another class. But again, everyone likes to study in different areas. I personally like Brody as well because of the whiteboards. And you can book private rooms, which is another thing. If you go to the Sheridan Libraries website, you can select a room in Brody Learning Commons and then rent that room for an hour and a half time slots, I believe, are the max. But you can have that and you can study with a group of people, or you can take a smaller room and just study by yourself. That's a very good option as well. So the next question is any tips for registration? Because I believe students have registration next week. So anyone like to share from their experiences?
If I can answer this. So I always, every time I've done registration, even going into senior year, um, I always have my phone with the time.gov app, which gives your like exact time down to like the second. And I will literally click on the register button at the exact like 7 a.m. Because I mean, I know there's a lot of people coming from different parts of the country and different parts of the world. But you want to make sure that you're clicking it like at that 7 a.m. Eastern time. Um, Also just like making sure that your cart is organized in the order of like classes that you need most or want most. Those being at the top, and then ones that you can, I guess, afford to not take, or ones that you maybe don't want as much towards the bottom. And I mean, at least for me, I don't press like on my whole cart. I always just do like my ideal schedule first. I select those first and then go through with that. And then if something doesn't go through, then I'll go back into my cart. Just make sure you have everything in there already. Any like duplicate classes, like a different section or anything like that already in there, so you don't have to go searching for it when everybody's trying to register. I would say that's like super important. And also, just a quick tip, if you see that it's taking forever to load, do not refresh it. It's going to basically delete all your progress. Don't refresh it. Just wait for it to finish loading. That's my spiel.
have a few things to add. Like Denai said, have like the classes you want at the top and the ones that you can afford to miss at the bottom. Another tip in when you're structuring your classes is smaller classes like which are like section based. For example, I don't know if you guys still have first year seminars and like re-intro to writing and stuff. Those are small ones with like very specific little sub classes. I would recommend having those higher if you're taking like a really big lecture, like Calc 1 or something. Oh, I'm so glad I don't have to do that anymore. But uh, you can, if there's like a 200-person class, you're probably going to get a spot. So like prioritize based on that as well, like smaller classes at the top that you really want. And then like she said, like have the backups below. So it's like it says all this on the like registering web page, but it goes like it goes sequentially when they like try to get you into your classes. Um, so definitely keep that in mind and have your backups at the bottom. Just be strategic about it. But since you guys are freshmen, I think you should be pretty fine for most of your classes. Also, classes that are specifically for freshmen, you will be definitely be okay with. But there is also the fact that the dates of registration go like seniors, juniors, sophomores, freshmen. So you guys are going last. I'm sorry. But classes that have multiple class years will be a little bit harder to get into. So keep that in mind as well when you're ordering your card.
Just one more thing. Sleep the night before. Don't stay up. That used to be me. It's not fun. It's not worth it. Just sleep.
Have someone wake you up. Like if you don't respond to alarms, definitely have someone wake you up. And don't fall asleep before you press register. That would be very bad.
And something I'd also like to add, do not stress out if you do not get all your classes. Most people, I would say probably 90% of people do not get their perfect schedule, and it is okay. You will survive. And half of the time you will end up getting the class you did not get and was on the wait list. Because when the first week of school starts, everyone starts switching schedules, so the wait lists just go up and down. So do not stress and do not worry. Everything will be all right.
Marco, there's a question I wanted to answer. Oh, it went away. Oh, it went away. Hmm.
I mean, if you remember, you can still.
Oh yeah, I
Everyone
found
else
it.
is.
It says, do you have any tips for time management, especially
Yeah.
with juggling major requirements, shadowing volunteer for pre-med and club/fun things? And like I said, double major. I do research at the med campus. I volunteer on the weekends. I'm president of a dance club. I'm on like 2 separate e-boards. So I feel like I'm qualified to answer this question. And honestly, the best ways to time manage yourself is like having a planner and having a to-do list to make sure that you're getting everything done, because you also have to set time aside to study, especially us going to Hopkins. Our classes are rigorous, so you need time to study. And I think one thing that helps me is that most of my friends are in some of the clubs that I'm in. So I have like my friends on the dance team, my friends on the other club I'm e-board on, and we're all like the same major or pre-med, and we all understand that like we need to study because at the end of the day, school comes first. And that's like one thing to remember, that like, yes, we're pre-med, yes, we want to get the research, yes, we want to get the shadowing, yes, we want to do all these things, but at the end of the day, like, we're paying our money to attend school for like the classes, and the extracurricular is an add-on. So make sure you prioritize your school and yourself, like making sure that you are well rested, because if you're tired and you're going about your day, like, you're not really going to be able to be fully functioning. So like, yeah, make sure planner, schedule, and be well rested to make sure you're able to like juggle everything.
Ooh, this is a very good one, and I think most of us have gone through this. Do you have any good tips for getting research opportunities?
Big net. Big net. Giant net. Catch it all. I spent about a year sending emails to people because I was being very, very picky, and I was putting a lot of time into finding this person's doing exactly what I want to do, this person doing exactly what I want to do. And it was just exhausting and it was not very fruitful. And then finally in the spring semester, I was like, okay, I'll just like send it to anything that seems interesting enough to me. Right? You don't want to apply to something just because you want research. It should be interesting to you, but it doesn't necessarily have to be exactly what you envisioned yourself doing when you apply to Hopkins. I think if you do that, then finding research opportunities becomes as easy as they say it will be. It's just, not every lab can take every student that has interest in them.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Zena. Yeah.
I also like to jump in for this. In order to like find professors, if you want to do like research under them as like an assistantship, there's also Forager One, which is a really good place for you to like maybe cold email professors, which sounds scarier than it actually is. In my experience, I've found that most of them do reply. And if not, there's no harm, no foul. You can still gain experience from that. And also there's Our and ERSCA, which are opportunities where you can find maybe funding for your research. I know they could also offer guidance on like a creative research project you're having. There's also independent study, which I'm doing next semester, where I'm reaching out to a professor and I'm coming up with my own course to study. And I think that that's a good opportunity for a more like self-guided research where it's more catered to what you want to do. But like Jonathan said, there's other ways in order to find research opportunities on campus, but there are definitely a plethora of opportunities at Hopkins.
Yeah, I'd also like to add something and use myself as an example. I sent probably like 50 emails last semester trying to find research for the summer. And every single PI that replied to me said no, didn't have any spots available, or didn't have any funding, or one thing or the other. And I just kept emailing, and there was this one specific lab that I was really interested in. And so I found their phone number and called myself and told them how interested I was. And the next day I got an email back saying they were really excited to add me to their team. So I would say that when you write your emails and when you reach out, really make sure to show how interested you are in their research and why. And like learn a little bit about their research before you apply. So what if they want to interview you and ask you, oh, know this, or do you know about this? Then you have like some background information that said, yes, I read this about you and I really like this study that you did on this topic. That's personally what I've seen work a lot for me and for a lot of people. So another question that I saw is, what kind of pre-med resources do you personally find very helpful? So to our pre-med panelists, is there any specific resources?
Each other. I feel like that's like the biggest thing because a lot of people who are like pre-med, we're taking our journey differently. Like it doesn't look the same on everybody. I know, for example, one of my close friends, she's like taking her MCAT right now, and whatever resources she's using, she's saving it for me. So when I take my MCAT, I'll have that and not have to like go out my way and spend a lot of money to prepare for the MCAT. I definitely think using your peers as resources is definitely beneficial. Another resource I would say for pre-med is definitely YouTube, like Organic Chemistry Tutor on YouTube. Definitely when I took chem and orgo and even physics, I definitely watch a lot of his videos. Yeah, those are the two that come to mind.
So on campus, there's an organization called Jump, and it's proven to be really beneficial for me. I mean, I've had some opportunities from there that I don't think I would have had otherwise. So Jump is basically Johns Hopkins underserved in medicine and health professions. Sorry. And so basically they have resources for anyone who is like a first generation student or low income student. They have resources like MCAT help, or they have like mock interviews for med school applications, things like that. And they also have a lot of programs that can help you get like clinical experience, things like that, shadowing. I would say that if you fall into that group, I would really like use that. Like it's been very helpful. And I don't know, it's a great way to get involved, meet a lot of other pre-med people, and uh yeah, again, using your peers, like Megan said, it's a very good resource, and you can get that from Jump as well. So yeah.
Someone asked how can they connect the students who studied abroad at the London School of Economics, but this just applies to any student that studied at any abroad school. We have a study abroad office that you can contact and they can redirect you. We also have a study abroad page, so you can message them. A lot of the students that study abroad have access to that Instagram account, so you could message there and then ask to and reach out to a certain person that studied at a certain school, and they should be able to help you. But yeah, and the best option would be just reaching out to the office itself, and they can provide you with all the information you need. And then if you'd like to meet someone, they could probably redirect you somewhere. Um, this is a good one. Someone asked if they would need formal attire, which is like suit and tie or and cocktail dress. Does anyone had any experiences where they've needed a suit and tie?
I can try to answer this
Yeah.
in a very specific way. Never worn a formal attire in my life. I guess it just depends. I know that there's like interview season, and I know that engineering majors do a lot of interviews, and there's like a whole month on campus where everyone is like walking around in like suits, and it freaks me out. But yeah, convocation was one time I think I like people like to dress up, but you also can it is a little dressy, I agree, but it's kind of up to you. If you see yourself in, I would say like bring one in case of emergency at least. In case you find yourself attending like an event that needs it. But in terms of just like your day-to-day activities, if that's your jam, go for it. I don't see there's no expectation unless there's like an event that has like a dress code, in which case you do you.
Yeah. I've attended formal events where it's been like suit and tie, but that's just, I mean, everyone has like their different, like, I agree. Some people have told me they've never worn a suit and tie in their 4 years here, and they did not need it. So it just really depends. If you like a backup, I just bought one here when I realized I needed one. I didn't come with one. So you can always just do that. There's different stores and options of where to buy suits and dresses. House Mall is a very good one, 15 minutes away. So, but yeah, that's just a very optional thing. And someone asked when convocation, what is convocation? So convocation is basically the ceremony that introduces you into your time here at Hopkins, like it introduces you as your first year student. It's the last event during orientation. And it's an event where people like to dress up usually. It's more like semi-formal. And we have the President Daniel speaking. We have other guest speakers as well. I think we also have the student body president. But yeah, it's just a formal ceremony welcoming like all incoming students like you, as you begin out on your academic journey. And one fun fact is that this year it's really special because it marks the 150th anniversary of Johns Hopkins University. And this momentous occasion also kicks off 18 months of reflection and celebration in honor of Hopkins' rich legacy and enduring impact. So after answering the convocation question, oh, this is a good one, and I think it's a very important one. Any tips for adjusting to dorm life?
Your RA, if I can suggest, rely on your RA communicate with your roommates, set expectations. A thing that RAs will do is have you guys do roommate agreements or suite mate agreements so you guys can kind of set expectations with one another. I know we have randomly assigned kind of like you live with people that are randomly assigned to you, which can be very daunting for some people, but it sometimes ends up working out remarkably. Some people end up being really, really good friends with the people that they live with and continue to be like besties with them. Other people, they just like coexist peacefully with the people that they live with. So, um, yeah, again, just finding out what works for you as long as you're communicating well and genuinely, like, I mean this objectively, like relying on your RA for help.
Yeah, just to hop on to that, I think in terms of like adjusting to having a roommate if you haven't before, or a suite mate if you're in a single inside of a suite, just coming in with an open mind and trying to, at least at the start, be very flexible. You're going to have, obviously, you filled out the form to be matched together. A lot of the times, people's internal ideal selves end up on those forms, and what ends up happening in reality, they're not really a morning person. They said they're going to wake up at 7, but their alarm's going to go off until 9. Just trying to give each other grace can make the difference between the end of the year being we never want to talk to each other ever again, and the end of the year being, hey, it was nice living with you, see you next year, right? Just try to enter the space thinking this is a great opportunity to meet someone new, have new experiences. It'll be the best thing that you make out of it, right?
Yeah, and I will say a lot of students tend to room again with their first year roommates. It's not something that you would expect considering you're rooming with a stranger, but I think Hopkins does quite a good job at like matching you with someone that like you think you're not gonna get along with, but you actually end up getting really well with, like getting along really well with. So another question, and it's been liked by a lot of people. What kind of study habits would you recommend to help you succeed at JHU?
I honestly, sorry, unless someone else wants to talk, because I just spoke. No, okay,
Oh,
I'll go.
yeah.
I think that's going to depend on the program that you're going into and the nature of the classes that you're taking. I know that when I was pre-med and I was taking the pre-med courses, there was a lot of memorization that was necessary for me. So I had to like start early. Every single time that I took a lecture, I would immediately put in the flashcards, immediately do the note recitation so that I could start repetition very early on. So I'd have it stuck in my brain by the time the exam came around. For my engineering classes, it's a little different. Like obviously you still need repetition, but for that, it's more so that I want to get the experience of a deep understanding of the processes and the procedures that go into solving the problems. So that's more scheduling time to go to office hours and getting the habit of, even if you're feeling uncomfortable in the lecture, raising your hand and asking a question, right? So I think different courses, different programs require different study habits, but those are some examples off the top of my head.
Yeah, I mean, everyone is very unique in how they study. I think it's just a trial and error thing, to be honest, as well. I tried different methods and now I've found what works for me, but I can't say what works for me will work for you. So I think you just have to try branching out to different study methods and see what works best. It sounds like very like vague, but I think that's the best advice I could give you. Because genuinely everyone studies differently and everyone like some people like studying with other people, some people like studying alone, some people are night owls, some people study in the morning. It's just some people need 1 hour to study for a midterm, some people need 30 hours, doesn't like and they'll get the same result. It's just it's very different, like in a very individualized experience.
Yeah. Can I add something kind of
Yeah,
similar
of
to what you
course.
guys are talking about? I
Yeah.
think just be very kind to yourself because the the like unifying factor between all of you guys and all of your peers is that you're all pretty good at school. Like that's just the entry level requirement. I'm sure most people who are incoming freshmen have view themselves as very academic people, have high standards for themselves in terms of academic achievement. Um don't be afraid to break your own expectations a little bit. Like the first question that we answered was that college is very different from high school. In some ways, it definitely is, in other ways, it isn't. But the main way that it's different is that, like, don't try to box yourself in. For me, I found that some classes I was like not as engaged in the same way that I was in high school in almost all my classes. And over time, I realized that it was because there are some class styles that aren't the most engaging to me, or some classes that aren't as engaging to me as others. Because when I would be in like my humanities classes, my smaller like discussion-based classes, I would still have that level of enthusiasm. So just kind of like be kind to yourself, be fair to yourself. It's a lot. It's no secret that it's a very demanding school, no matter what major you're in. And a big reason that it's so demanding is because you're used to seeing everybody around you doing a lot, and that can cause you to put a lot of pressure on yourself. And while that's just part and parcel of being here, it like depends what you do with it. So like don't let it get in your way too much. You are going to be on your own path at your own pace. So it sounds really corny, but I believe that's like genuinely true. Um, so like do what's right for you and just yeah, be like generous to yourself.
Yeah, I completely with that. It's a learning experience for all of you. We also went through the same experience. So don't be too harsh on yourselves. If something doesn't work, just approach it in a different way and try something else until you find what works for you. So I think another question that I've seen quite a bit now is what additional furnitures would you recommend bringing to the residence halls, and what kind of storage space is available within the room and in the building itself? If one of the RAs would like to answer that.
I said I would answer that. Like my best advice is to watch a YouTube video. There's like dorm tours. I actually made one. This is very embarrassing to say, but I did in fact make a dorm tour. You don't have to watch mine, just watch one. They're the best because you can see it. You can just like see it with your eyes. So someone asked like, what are the dimensions of the furniture? That would be hard for us to explain. I genuinely recommend, and I think Hopkins too has like official dorm tour videos. If you want ones where there's like opinions, I know I watched like hours and hours of like YouTube in the run up to coming to school. So that's a